I'm here in Medjugorje and I'm with Father. Where are you from, Father?
I'm from County Cork in Ireland.
And what's your name, Father?
Father Liam Kelleher.
And Father, when did you hear the first time in your life about Medjugorje?
Oh, I heard about it, but I didn't come here. I think it was about 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And then I was at a prayer meeting in Cork,
Yeah.
and I met Finbar O'Leary, and I came with him, and he brought me around everywhere. Finbar was a marvellous guy, because during the big war, he would fill a truck in Cork, drive it across Europe, drive it up here on the bad roads, and he'd bring it to the, where all the mothers' village, and he fed everybody. And he did that a number of times. And then he had a great healing power as well. And when we went up to the Blue Cross mountain, he would lay his hands on people, and people would fall down in people's arms. And he actually told me that I had a gift of healing, but I was afraid, One particular night, I did exactly the same, and exactly the same happened.
People resting in the spirit?
Yeah, and they just fell back. And another time, I suppose it was this year, I was out at the Divine Mercy, and this lady came in for a blessing, and I didn't think any more about, people falling back, and I gave her a blessing. Next thing, she collapsed back on the floor, but she wasn't injured. So, you have to be very, very careful, and I would be a bit wary about that type of ministry, because you might give false hope to people, So that's my interpretation of that. But I know that we have all healing power, and I suppose, use the saints that heal people. And the one thing, and this was 4 years ago, when I came here to Medjugorje, I'd never heard of St. Charbel. And there was a guy from my parish in Coven, County Cork. It's the second biggest harbour in the world, a beautiful cathedral. And Sheila, my first cousin, who brings the tours, she asked me, when I look after John, who was 92 years of age, going up on the train to Dublin, and never saw him. And then we arrived at the hotel. We were staying the night before we came, and John was there. He'd got up on the train, got another train into the city, and a bus out to the hotel. And then, very first day we were there for dinner, I was sitting across the table from him, and he asked me about the favourite saints. I said, of course, it has to be St. Patrick and St. Bridget and St. Loughdeen, which is the patron saint of the church I grew up in, and where I ministered for 12 years as a pastor, So he said, St. Charbel is my favourite saint. I said, never heard of him, or the sky over him. That's the term I used. That night, I went down to confession. And the first lady that came to confession was from Lebanon, So I asked her, to tell me something about St. Charbel. I can tell you everything about him. And the year before, exactly a year, she was at his shrine on the feast, I think around the feast of the exaltation of the cross, and she was bitten by a scorpion, and which is fatal. They have no antidote for it. And got the relic, and she was taken to hospital. But the following day, she went to Rome for the ordination of a priest friend of hers, which is quite extraordinary. And then I don't like, and I won't take names or contacts for people at confession, because I think it's not right, And her name was Carol, and I met her other friend here, actually, the hotel near us here in Grace. That night, that's where she was staying, and we met Joelle, her friend, and I asked both of them, would they speak to my group? And there was another friend of mine from Ireland. He was a solicitor in the next town, and he heard about it because he'd been cured after doing a 9-day novena of an operation for cancer or whatever it was in the shoulder, and the surgeon said there was nothing there. So
that's a novena to St. Charbel.
Yes, exactly, novena to St. Charbel. So that was a huge thing. And then Jim said to me, I'd love to go to Lebanon, but nobody is going to bring me there. They say it's too dangerous. I said, you must trust. I said, I'll bring you there. and we were here in maybe August, I'm not sure, but on November, I think it was the 19th of November, we went out to Lebanon. Joel and Carol in the car waiting for us at the airport, and took us right up almost to Nana in a hotel. There was nobody in the hotel, and we still found our way and found a bed until people came in the morning. The owner was a lovely old man, and his son brought us everywhere the following day. You know, Chadi was his name, and he brought us to all the other shrines, St. Rafka, St. Hardini, and of course we went to St. Charbel's. I suppose the Hermitage was our first stop the first morning, and that was amazing. And then we came down to where he is buried, and the following morning then on the 22nd we went to the Mass, and after Mass we saw the lady that has a stigma. It comes the day before, and then afterwards it heals up again, and she made a promise to Charbel that if he cured her, that she would be forever grateful. And she told him that there would be a sign that that you're being.
She was healed by him.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then we went to the other shrines then, and came back to Beirut for 2 nights to be near the airport. And then they fixed up the airport across the road from the American University in Beirut, and it didn't cost. He wouldn't take money, so I said I'd bless the hotel, as kind of thank you. But I hadn't met him, but I didn't realise until afterwards that he was a Muslim. But a lot of Muslims go to St. Charbel's Shrine for Mass, and that'd be it. The other incident, 2 other incidents I must tell you about, because they're very, very important to me. A next door neighbour in one parish I was in, and their daughter rang me saying, I'm in hospital. My 2 children were brought in to see me yesterday, and I'm told that I'm not going to live, I'm going to die. So she said, would I ever come to the hospital and give her a blessing? And I said I would, but that particular day I had so many commitments that evening. I had 2 funeral removals to do. I had meet another woman who had given me a lovely present for my golden jubilee, and she died, and she was miles away, and I called to see her, and I went up to the hospital first thing in the morning, and I took out the prayer St. Charbel, which is always in my pocket, and I took out the holy oil, and I said, pray to St. Charbel, and whatever. Then I came out here, and first morning I was at Mass. Leon said something that struck me like something amazing. He said, if we don't believe in God when things are going well, how can you expect him to help you when things are going bad? And every day we pray for that woman. I called to see her straight after going home, and she was better. The doctors were amazed she was still alive. 3 weeks later that woman left hospital, and she's still in good health. That was one. The second one was, and these are the 2 that stand out in my mind. The second one was the height of the start of the pandemic, and this lady rang me. I knew her through sport. I didn't know her husband. She said, my husband has been taken into hospital. He's very poor. He's not expected to live. He's in intensive care. Every single day, because I did Mass online, and I did the prayers to St. Charbel at the end of every Mass online. And then 6 months later, a national broadcaster who does a programme, a late show every Friday night on television for 2.5 hours, but there's an hour slot every morning. And this particular morning he said, the best news we have heard, he said, since the beginning of COVID has been that this man who was in hospital for 6 months has gone home today. And to me that was huge. So every opportunity, that set me in a completely different path of life, and that was my year, my golden jubilee. So I've come here many times since, and this year I've come 4 times, and I feel very strongly being here that I will stay for longer next year because I have less commitments. This particular year I went to America 3 times, and I went to here 4 times. I went to Spain to officiate my nephew's wedding. So I had a lot of commitments that I had kind of things I wanted to do. I think they're all in my system now, and I'll definitely come here, because normally I go to America in January for our college reunion in Mississippi, and this in January is the last one because there are very few priests left. But I'm going to go to that and visit my friends that I go every year in Hawaii, and go to the other places, and then when I come back in May, I'm going to come out here and stay. I know I have one wedding in June, so I'll go home for that, but I think I'll stay the rest of the year here, because this place is simply amazing. And people, I suppose from a material point of view, the food is fantastic. The people we stay with, Jelke, not Jelke, she's our guide, and Anna and Vida. You saw the house, beautiful.
It's a beautiful pension.
Exactly.
Pension
And
Vida.
exactly, and as well as that, it's the weather is good, except it can be very warm in June, but you get over that, and people are nice, and there's huge peace here.